Well, after waiting what feels like an eternity for the Justice League movie to come out, it's now well behind us. I thought the movie was good, but certainly not my favorite. The highlights of the film were, of course, the members of the Justice League, who were all perfect interpretations of characters I hold dear to my heart. And really, that's kind of all I wanted from the movie. As is the case with big superhero movies, there's a plethora of merchandise to go along with it. So far with the DC movies, I've been collecting the Mafex figures, mostly with one SH Figuarts thrown in. Today, we shall be looking at a Batman figure made by one of my favorite companies. This is the SH Figuarts Batman figure. Of course, out of all the characters present in the movie, Batman is my favorite and has so far been portrayed perfectly within the films, making this version my favorite on-screen Batman of all time. Side note, please, Ben Affleck, don't leave. And I already have quite a few figures based on this version of the character, with two of them being my favorite Batman figures I've ever owned. So this guy has some mighty big boots to fill. So right off the bat, I can see that this is a very nice figure with one very big flaw. So let's get this out of the way right up front. This cape sucks. You're supposed to be able to bend the wire in it so you can pose it in a bunch of different ways. However, it always just snaps back to its default position, which makes posing the cape pretty much impossible. Mafex did this perfectly for the Batman v Superman figure, where you can actually pull a ton of cool poses with the cape. However, since I can't pose this cape how I want it to, it actually affects the way the figure stands up, since the cape is actually longer than his legs. But thankfully this can be remedied. Overall, I was a fan of Batman's redesign in Justice League, but I still prefer the Batman v Superman suit. The only place where I think the JL suit is better is the cowl. I love the sculpted on scowl, and it's represented very well on this figure. The skin tone they went with is way better than the one on the Mafex figure, as that one looks fairly orange. The likeness to Ben Affleck is actually way better than I thought it would be. At certain angles, he's a dead ringer for the actor. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the way that the cape meets the cowl with this big plastic part. It's not really accurate to the movie, and it just kind of looks awkward. The suit itself looks amazing. Every single little detail is pulled off very well here. The detail is all very clean, which at this scale is very nice. I feel like the suit is colored a bit lighter than it is in the movie. However, that might just be the lighting from the movie making it appear darker in scenes. It's not just blacks and grays in this outfit, as there's a bit of gold on his gauntlet and knuckles. His back isn't as detailed as the front, but I don't really have any photos of Batman from the back, so this might very well be accurate. He, of course, does have his secret weapon stored back here, the bat butt. Just like his back, the legs aren't as supremely detailed as his front, but still look good nonetheless. His articulation works exactly how you would want it to. Nothing's really hindered here. His head moves all the way around and can actually look up a fair amount. His arms can move all the way around and can even drop down for added movement. His waist movement gets caught slightly by his belt, but you can actually easily move past that. His legs are probably the best articulation on the figure, as you can move all over the place with them. So in the box he comes with these fist hands for him to beat down some thugs. Next up he has these batarang holding hands. This does of course mean that he comes with a batarang, which looks very nice, and feels much sturdier than the ones I have from the Mafex figures. He comes with these open hands that look like they can be used to pose in action poses, or maybe to grab objects or other figures with. Last but not least is this pair of bat grapple hands. And just like before, this does of course mean he comes with a bat grapple. Otherwise, these hands would be a silly inclusion. The grapple gun looks nice, but not quite as detailed as the Mafex versions. You can remove a very small part of the gun to replace it with this equally small piece that gives him extra hooks. It gives the gun way more detail and is probably how I'm going to keep it. None of these figures so far have had a way to store the grapple gun on the figure's body, which is a real bummer, but, you know, oh well. As per recent SH Figuarts tradition, he does not come with a stand, which means one of the poses shown in the box is literally impossible to pull off without one. I'm really not sure if this is out of laziness or greed that they don't include stands, because of course Bandai sells stands separately. Just a side note, real quick, I got pricked by his gauntlets multiple times when putting his hands on, so be careful. So that's the Figuarts Justice League Batman. A certainly great-looking figure who comes with your standard accessories that aren't really worth writing home about. He has one very critical flaw with the cape, but he's still fun to pose and looks great next to the other Batman I've accumulated. The Mafex figures are still taller, but with some clever posing you can work past that. So, as someone who has 4 other Batfleck figures already, I'd say this one's good, but not great. However, if this is your first one, I would highly recommend him. However, I'm still looking forward to the Mafex version. However, this hasn't really deterred me from wanting to collect the rest of the Figuarts versions. Wonder Woman comes out sometime this month, and I am definitely looking forward to that.